about this. Oh, that's right, here this afternoon. Hey, I'm Ann Eller. This is a very special pop-up interview here this afternoon, and Penny and I are styling today. I don't know if you can see her if you're watching. She's got her yellow dress on, and I've got my yellow dress on, and we have, yes we do, we have Representative Sheri Biggs here. She came to town, and I am so excited. She stopped by to see us, so we had to do a pop-up interview. And Sheri, how are you doing today?
Well, hello. I'm doing great and happy to be here with you and Penny. I only wish I would have worn my yellow.
Yeah, right. We could have been all styled. We need to do a memo next time, right? Yes.
Right.
So, Sheri, you have been so busy, and you've always got so much going on. But did you have any time to get away from Washington? Have you had any family time?
Well, I spent a little time with my family, but was able to take them to a couple of events with me. But we definitely celebrated the 4th of July and my son's birthday, his 28th birthday, all in 1 week, and actually had a wedding proposal all wrapped into one. So it's been an eventful week.
A whirlwind week, it sounds like.
It has, but exciting times.
That's great. That's great. Well, you know, I was thinking about, you know, for those of us who have had to watch it on TV, the Great American State Fair up there. Did you get to go to any of that?
Wow, we've been really busy, but just seeing the activities and all the festivities going on in D.C., and you see the National Guard there patrolling the streets. People are enjoying themselves. Things are cleaned up. You see the parks are filled with people, with families, with children, with young people playing ball, having picnics. It's an exciting time, and it's a great time to be an American. And I'm so proud of President Trump for putting on these events and really pushing America first and just celebrating people.
And celebrating 250 years. Just think, Sheri, we'll never be here again. We won't be here for the next, well, maybe you'll be here for the 300th, maybe, I guess.
Well, they had a time capsule, and we were able to put one of our challenge coins from the 3rd District of South Carolina into the time capsule. So I'll be looking from above, I hope, when they open that, and they'll be like, who is Sheri Biggs?
Right. That's right. You know, I did a whole show about the time capsule and the different things that people were putting in them. And the very fact of what they went through to design this 900-pound time capsule wasn't a little thing. It was a big thing.
Oh, yes. It was huge. I was there when the speaker made the opening remarks, and it was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
A great thing to see.
You know, it has to be great to be in Congress and to be seeing all the things with this celebratory time, even with all the strife and everything that's going on. It has to be great. So, and I wonder, did you happen to make it over to didn't they do a rodeo up there?
They did do a rodeo, but I didn't make it, and I would have loved to have been there, but I saw little snippets and the interviews with some of the participants, and, you know, our son rodeos, so I have a special interest in that, but no time. It was all work, so no time for rodeos for me.
Well, you know, one of the things that I've been thinking about, of course, you know, you're up for re-election, and of course you're going to be the Republican nominee, and I was wondering, since you're coming up on completing your first term in Congress, has Washington been what you expected?
It's been
That's a loaded question, Ann. Yes.
It's been what I expected and a lot more. I've met a lot of good people. That's been the surprising factor, I guess. I've met a lot of people that share my beliefs, that are conservative and want to see our values preserved. But at the same time, it's been a learning curve for me as well. Things I wouldn't say that I'm a patient person, so sometimes things move a lot slower in Washington, and that's a little frustrating. But just keeping things into perspective and making sure that I'm focused on the 3rd District and having our best interest at heart in the decisions that I make and the votes that I take and the people that I surround myself with. I think those are the things that I try to focus on.
Well, you know, that is interesting that when you're talking about the House. Now, how do you feel about the Senate, though? Have you got any feelings about the Senate?
Oh, I have some feelings, all right. And the first thing that popped into my head when you said that was the Save America Act. You know, it's really hard to understand how we have passed the Save America Act. I think we voted on that 3 times, at least 3 times, and the Senate can't seem to get it across the board. It's very frustrating, and I would like to see them do a better job. And you know, I've always said I'm for term limits, but one thing, if you aren't contributing to making things better, you should go home. And I feel like that's where we are with a lot of members that have been there for many, many, many years that aren't contributing and aren't making a difference, and they're not reflecting America's values.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's a very good point. But on the other hand, we are having some socialist, communist candidates get into the election. What do you think about this?
It's very frightening. I just sent my team something that I had seen about health care and encouraging people from foreign countries to come over here to have their babies, and it's frightening. And that made it through the Supreme Court. It's alarming, and people should be paying attention. But this is all the more reason that every individual, I don't care what your job is, what your interests are, but you need to get involved in elections and pay attention to the people that you're sending, whether it's on local, state, or federal positions. You need to know who you're voting for and participate and have a voice. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to continue as the great nation that we are.
Well, I think the big concern is, are we going to hold the House? Is the House going to be held going into the midterms? What do you think?
Well, I think there's so much going on in the Democratic Party, instability, division among themselves. I really feel like that's going to help the Republican Party. And even though sometimes we agree to disagree and have different perspectives, I think we hold, I hate to say the power, I don't really like that word, but I really think we hold all the cards right now, and we are the sane voice for Americans and common sense. And I hope that the people can see that. We don't want, there's a reason South Carolina is growing so fast, because these people from New York and all these other California, they're moving to South Carolina because they love what we stand for. But what we don't want to happen is we don't want them to move here and then bring their culture and their same crazy thoughts and voting records with them. We need to make sure that we're keeping South Carolina, and that means conservative Christians, people that love our country and put America first.
And we need to have land. We need to have open spaces. We don't need to have it all built up. What do you think about that?
I think there has to be balance with everything. Just before we came on the air, we were talking about that. We want to have growth, and we want to have business, and we want to have industry, and we have to move technology forward. But we also have to protect our agriculture. We have to protect our land. We have to uphold our farmers. Food is a prime example of how national security can be put at risk. And those are the things that we need to think about, and we need to balance, and we need to make sure that we're looking at the interest of all of our constituents.
Yes, I think so. So since you've been in Washington, what's been the most rewarding? What's been more rewarding than you could have imagined?
Well, I wouldn't say that it has to do with Washington, but meeting the manufacturers and the people in my district. When I'm not in session, I'm out covering all 11 counties and meeting the people, and that has been the most rewarding part, because if I don't talk with individuals and I don't understand what their problems are, and each county differs, what the issues in Greenwood are different from my county that I live in Oconee County, and I have to represent all of them. So meeting the people, talking to them, and understanding, I have a special interest with the military and still serving, and I try to represent our veterans well. Well, in the little small town of Liberty, South Carolina, I was there recently, and the items that they're manufacturing in this small business, they're able to support contracts for the Department of War. And I just think that's the coolest thing. And they're getting ready to expand, and that means more jobs. And these are in rural areas in the middle of nowhere. And that's exciting to me. And that's probably the best part of my job.
Okay, I get that. I think that is true. And do you think, because you cover, like you said, 11 districts, can you see in the future that we can end up in South Carolina with the growth and everything that we'll get another representative?
I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I mean, by the time we have another census and we look at the map, and I think that's a great possibility, because we've talked about how South Carolina is growing and people are moving here. And I look forward to that. I think we will have more representation in D.C.
Well, I think when you try to cover 11 counties, that's really hard to do.
Sometimes it is. But, that's why we have a whole team. And I'm very fortunate with the people that I have working with me, and they have boots on the ground. When I'm in D.C., they're out and about in the district meeting with people and trying to make sure that we are representing everyone and that we are aware of what's going on.
Well, I think you've done a great job, Sheri. Every time I mention Sheri Biggs, and when I was mentioning you were coming on, I got a lot of thumbs up today. So that's a really good thing. That's a really
thank
good
you.
thing.
It's been an honor to serve in this capacity, and we've done a lot. We have a lot more to do, but I'm really grateful to have this position and to represent the 3rd District.
Now, you brought up about you're still serving. You're in the Air National Guard.
I am. Currently, I serve as the A5 for Joint Force Headquarters in South Carolina. So that has been quite a privilege, and getting to work on some projects and met some incredible people there. And it's a little different from my past history as an Aerovac nurse, but really excited about this opportunity and some things that we've got going on.
And so what is your rank?
So I'm a lieutenant colonel still,
Okay.
but I finished Air War College, and I'm hoping soon that they'll be promoting me to colonel. We'll see how that works out.
We'll have to have a big celebration.
We
Celebration. That's right. Well, we are here with Representative Sheri Biggs right here on WCRS. We're doing a little pop-up interview with her. Had to work her in when we could work her in, and I'm so glad. And Penny's really glad that she's here too. Penny and she have a close relationship. I don't know. Penny just seems to be taking over the show. I don't know what's happening here. But anyway, she's got a couple of questions she wants to ask at the end. So, do you think, you're there every week, well, most every week in Washington, are you able to work across the aisle?
That's a tough question. I would like to tell you yes, that I think that's feasible, but it seems right now that there's so much distance between what the Republicans, what they view, and then you have these radical left ideas. And I'm particularly thinking about my Homeland Security Committee and the division. I love and appreciate law enforcement. When I was a little girl, I just remember growing up to respect officers, and I'm very thankful for them. And when I hear my colleagues on the other side of the aisle talking about doing away with ICE and everything is just so negative, and I often wonder if their families were in trouble and they dial 911 if nobody came, if that might change their feelings. But I'm thinking about the 3rd District right now. I could tell you so many incidents that have happened, life-changing incidents for our police and our sheriff's departments and fire department and emergency workers, things that how they put their lives on at risk, and for these people that are ungrateful. I find that hard to believe. I surely don't want to believe that we feel that way in South Carolina. I think the majority of the people feel as I do. But when you hear the Democrats talking about those officers and agents, it can be very trying.
Well, that kind of brings us to President Trump and Iran. Do you think that this ceasefire is going to hold? Do you think we're going to be able to move it forward from the aspects that you know? Now, I know that you have a lot more information than's out there, but do you think that we are moving in that right direction?
Well, I applaud President Trump for what he's trying to do. But, I was in the Middle East in 2018 serving as an air-evac nurse. And I got to tell you that the people, those individuals that we're talking about that he's trying to negotiate with, they're not your average citizen. These aren't like the great people that are out serving in their communities. These are terrorists. They're mean people. They kill their own people. So I'm a little skeptical, but I appreciate him trying. But one thing I do know that I do support him 100% is Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. And I think we were right to go in to destroy that and to take the upper hand and make sure that we were protecting America. And I just got to believe that, right now we don't have anything to lose from trying to negotiate with them. One thing that I would clarify, a lot of people feel like they've been given money. That's not true. We're watching their actions and their behavior. And I would love, I think, for the economy, for gasoline prices, for grocery prices, if things can kind of stay level and we're not at war with them, I think we're all better off. The whole world is better off, but only time will tell. And I think the ball is in their court on how they react.
Well, personally, I think that every stall that they put is just a stall to be able to try to garner more time to develop weapons or do whatever. And I think that's kind of frightening. And I know a lot of people have been concerned about Trump being, I'll use the word gracious, giving them more time and giving them more time.
But I think it's only short term, and I think we'll know soon enough how things are going to turn out. But I want to remind your listeners, this is why we have to support our military, and this is why that members of Congress have to make sure that we're prepared for whatever the future holds. I was just looking at a report that the Heritage Foundation did talking about the crisis and the shortage that we have or definitely will have in 2028. And that means making sure that we have state-of-the-art equipment, aircraft that we can depend on, drones and counter-drone technology. These are all things that we have to make sure we're paying attention to. And that's why I led on a letter on a recapitalization letter for the Air Force and actually had about 13 other members of Congress sign on, and many of them were veterans or had military experience, but it was to ask the House Armed Services and the Senate Armed Services to make sure that we have money appropriated to replace aircraft and needed supplies and to give our military what they need to complete the mission successfully. You know, for years, the Democratic Party, they kept cutting and cutting and cutting, and we lost a lot of ground in our military. And that's one thing that is important to me as a mom and as the Congresswoman for the 3rd Congressional District.
Well, but there's been so much angst over appropriating, hasn't there?
Well, when I'm a conservative member, I'm probably in the top 5% of the conservative members, but money is tight. I mean, our deficit is an issue. Our budget is a huge concern, and we have to make sure that we're spending money wisely. But this is an area that I don't feel like is negotiable. We have to make sure that our military can withstand future conflict.
Well, I agree, but and you hear how much we've already spent right on the war, and then are using up a lot of munitions and this type of thing.
Right.
And yet we have countries like, what is it, Taiwan, I think, that has all these orders in for planes and all this kind of stuff.
They do to buy from us. That is true. One thing I think we could do a better job of, which they didn't ask my opinion, but since you asked me, I think we could use a lot less expensive equipment to accomplish the task at hand. I mean, I'll give you an example. Look at what Ukraine did with drones, and they were inexpensive.
Right.
We don't have to use these great big planes, and we have options, and we need to push technology. We need to make sure that we're staying on top of innovation and that we are leading in the way. That brings up another topic of discussion. AI is on everyone's mind now, and a lot of people have negative thoughts when you even mention the word. I do think this is something that we have to lead on, though. We do need guardrails.
Who needs
the
to
country,
lead?
the U.S.
Okay.
A lot of states are very cautious when it comes to anything to deal with technology or AI. Exactly. But there are new ways of doing things. We don't have to contaminate our water or use up all our electricity. There are new ways to do this. We just need to be open-minded, and people sit down at the table and have a good game plan. But when it comes to AI, we do have to put up guardrails to protect the infrastructure and to make sure that the bad actors aren't compromising our systems. So there's a lot of work.
Well, the grid has never been hardened or anything. I can remember that discussion with Jeff Duncan years ago. And we still, I don't think, have really done anything to protect our grid.
Well, there's some legislature going on right now, some people that have a very good background in that line of work, and I think you're going to see some things pretty soon, but we need to be moving faster.
We do. And then there's all these regulations about China, whether China can buy land, whether China can't buy land. I mean, we are constantly being attacked in little ways, aren't we?
Right. And China is absolutely our enemy.
Oh, come on. Don't you like Chinese food, Sheri?
Sure I do. Made by Americans.
Made by Americans. American Chinese, okay. But I think that we as people, don't you think that sometimes we as people, we're too forgiving and too gracious?
Sometimes I
Sometimes.
do.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm talking about working with somebody like China and whatnot.
Right. I think we have to be very cautious with China and Russia. I mean, I'm just thinking about the cranes right now, and there's so many examples that we know that they've kind of compromised our trust, and that until it's kind of like with your teenager, until you earn your trust back, you should be held accountable.
Right.
Like you're suspicious.
Right, yes.
You need to be held accountable.
What's that? Trust but verify?
Right.
Yes.
That's the truth.
That's the truth. Well, let's see. What else would I want to talk about? You know, you have a lot of, you've got election integrity, you're working on some military travel. We got women's sports, national security, Iran, drone threats. We've talked about some of these. What are you particularly working on in Washington, or that you'd like the folks to know about?
Yeah, I have a lot of things. I was on Dr. Tony Perkins' show, I think that was last week, and we were talking about mifepristone. You may have seen, that's the abortion pill that's being mailed out now. And there was a huge story. Unfortunately, it was an Army officer that gave that medication to his partner. I'm not exactly sure of their relationship. I did read the full article, but it caused her to abort her baby. She started having significant pain after she drank a drink that he prepared for her and noticed residue in the glass. And when she got to the hospital, she reported it, and they did an investigation. And he will be going to prison for that, and very well should. But when I think about how easy it is, and he used a false name, but even young girls, very young, without their parents' permission, can request this drug and receive it and take it without a parent's knowledge, take it without an in-person examination by a physician. I mean, they could have an ectopic pregnancy that could be life-threatening. There's just so many issues surrounding this. So that's one area and one bill that I'm trying to get pushed through. And, I'm a healthcare provider. I'm a mother. But above all, I'm a Christian, and I think we should value life. And this is 2026. If individuals haven't figured out or don't know how not to get pregnant if they don't want a baby, then that's really sad. That's really sad. I just think we have to do a better job of educating, but we have to make sure that safety precautions are put into place to protect these young girls and women and people in general.
Exactly.
Anyone.
Well, I mean, I've read about that's horrible. And to be alone at home, that is horrible what happens. But I also think that I've been reading lately, what's been happening too, is this drug is specifically for a specific time frame. I don't know, up to 8 weeks, 10, something like that. And they're taking it later, and it's causing huge problems too.
They're just making money. They don't care about human life. And, I'm endorsed by the Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life Group. I'm one of their spokespersons that talks out on this topic, and I will continue. It's not a popular topic, but this is something that I feel strongly about, and plan to continue working in this area.
Well, I think one of the things that needs to happen also in conjunction is the ability for adoptions to happen, and for better, foster care, or just to be able to, our Brenda Fries right up the street here with the Women's Center. They do a tremendous amount of good work, and I think the biggest thing about what they do is they don't say you can't do this.
Yeah,
I
visited them.
Yeah, they just say, here's your baby. I mean, they do a free ultrasound, and they let people have the opportunity to think, and they show them how they can be supported through services and products and this type of thing.
Well, I think some people just feel hopeless, like they don't know where to turn, and they're
Right.
panicking, and they just need someone to talk to in those situations.
Right, and that's what I think our pregnancy centers do. I think we could use more of those across the state. There really are not that many. So, talking about, we've actually talked about some drone threats, but how about what's happening with BMW? Isn't that huge?
I think it's great for the state of South Carolina. I've had the opportunity to meet and talk with some of those individuals in D.C., and they want business. They want to continue working in South Carolina. It just means more jobs, competitive jobs, I might add. I talked to some smaller businesses, and, we're focused on our schools and the learning a trade and being able to have an internship and partner with some of these manufacturers, and it's a win-win situation for those people looking for a job and those hiring. But the ones that are hiring are having to be a little more competitive and pay a little more and provide those little
Perks.
detail exactly to make sure that they're attracting the best skilled workers.
Sure.
And I think it's good for our state.
Absolutely. And so any district priorities you want to tell us? What are you working on specifically for the district? Anything in particular that you're saying these things need to get taken care of for District 3?
Well, there are numerous things, but one that I can think of, I just left a group of veterans, and just hearing about their health care needs and their mental health and making sure that they have access to care. I think those things are really important. You may have heard that I was working hard for the nurses to get them included with the Department of Education. They were left out of the professional group, and which was going to impact their loan accessibility. But we were able to do some work, and we've been I think especially the rural areas in South Carolina that I represent, having a provider, sometimes that doesn't always mean a medical doctor. Sometimes that means an advanced practice nurse that is trained to diagnose and prescribe medications, but to have them locally in your backyard that you can have access to easily, I think is important. So those are some of the things that we're looking at, and then pushing through with mental health and trying to make sure that we keep fentanyl as far away from here as we can, and protecting our young people. And the training that I already talked about with BMW, not everyone's cut out for a 4-year university. We have some great trade schools, and they can come out of school making 6 figures.
Well, look at Piedmont Tech right
Exactly.
here in the district.
Oh, they do a fabulous job.
Absolutely. So, I think there are a lot of ways to make things work. And by the way, July 4th, I heard the Trump accounts are now active.
How exciting is that?
Can you believe that? Don't you feel bad that you weren't just born? Come on.
Well, I just think there's another example of President Trump leading and trying to make things better for people. And I think it's a great day and time to be a Republican, and I'm grateful for his efforts and his move on that.
What did you think about the fact that he actually kept his speech in 26 minutes and didn't go off target the other night? I mean, that was a big point in the news.
I don't know. He must have had plans or something. He was on a tight timeline.
He was.
Because that rarely happens.
I know. And wasn't it great, though, the veterans? The 100+ veterans.
It was. I'm so grateful. I just said we left a group of veterans, and I was able to visit briefly with a World War II veteran who is sharp as a tack and about to celebrate his 100th birthday. And it has been a great day. It really has. But am grateful to President Trump for his efforts in highlighting our veterans and their heroism, and just again, proud to be an American.
You know, I did an article this morning about the moral clarity that our World War II veterans had brought to this country. And the question was, who is there now after our World War II veterans are gone? Will there be that moral compass, that moral clarity that they had brought to the world or to our country?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about that in my church yesterday, just about kind of Americanized Christianity and good versus bad. And I mean, I remember when people wanted to be good, you didn't want to be a bad guy. Now it's like they wear it proudly.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, let's see. You, after nearly 2 years in Congress, why do you want to do it again, Sheri?
Well, I think we've got a little experience under our belt. We kind of know what to expect. I like to feel like I've gained a little respect and worked well with leadership, have gained confidence from some of my peers. They come to me and ask me to work with them on things like Homeland Security, national security risk or healthcare issues. And one important thing that I'm very proud of, I've been approached by some faith-based groups that want me to lead on some things for them. Right now, I'm thinking about the Sharia Free America Caucus, which I'm a part of, and my colleagues in Texas have sounded the alarm about what's going on over there and how our rights as Christians is kind of being slowly taken away. I think it was Pennsylvania, if I'm not mistaken, they were asked to stop ringing the church bell so loudly because it was interfering with the call to worship.
Oh, come on.
And yeah, you can Google it. You can find the story. It's crazy. My phone is full of chats of examples of what's taken place, and it's really scary. But I think our young people are drawn to that, and they're looking for something to fill a void. So as a parent, that's scary, to think that anyone could have that type of influence over your child and to draw them into those types of things.
Absolutely. So, Penny has a question for you.
Uh-oh.
Penny wants to... Let's see. Penny, are you ready to ask your question? All right. I'll ask my question now. If I come to visit you, will your dogs like me?
Well, I have one dog that's a lab, and she is a sweetheart. That's Remy.
Yes.
Remy will love Penny. They'll be best buddies, and she'll even share her treats. But I have a black German Shepherd named Sig, and he thinks he's my protector, so he doesn't let people or any other animal besides Remy get around me. So we'll make sure Sig stays at home the day that Penny comes.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what I wanted to know. I could ask you a lot more questions, but I think that's the main one because I like to visit people.
Well, there are a lot of people there for Penny to visit, and I'm sure we could find some treats along our tour of the Capitol and the surrounding buildings.
Okay, good. All right. Anyways, all right, Penny. All right, you got to ask your questions. What do you hope to accomplish? Final question. What do you hope to accomplish in the second term that maybe you haven't had time to finish? Is there some particular project you'd like to finish or?
Well, we have been working with Secretary Collins on some issues surrounding health care and mental health for veterans. I hope we can continue that. And we have a lot of work in that area to do because the VA system is so large and complex. I don't think that's something that we're going to be able to fix overnight. Just making things affordable in in my district is a huge priority. I want individuals to be able to purchase the kind of food, healthy foods and produce that for their families that promote wellness and able to go to the gas pump and fill up their car and travel and go and see and do things without worrying about making ends meet. So affordability is important. As always, I think education is a big piece of who we are and just our conservative views, things that represent wholeness and traditional family and promote happiness. That's what I hope to do.
Promote happiness?
Exactly.
What
Not
a concept.
all this anger.
What a concept, Sheri Biggs.
Well, health, happiness,
I
having
agree.
a little money in your pocket,
Yeah.
that's good.
Absolutely.
If the parents are happy, the children will be happy and not looking for crazy things to get into.
Well, I certainly hope so. We need to see a change in our society, that is for sure. Well, I want to thank you so much for stopping by this afternoon to be part of a pop-up interview. It's been long overdue, and thank you so much, Representative Sheri Biggs.
Well, thank you. We always love coming by to see you and Penny and
Well, you've got an event coming up. We forgot about it.
oh, absolutely. The Salute to Liberty.
Yeah, talking about things. Yes, Sheri, tell us about that.
It's going to be on August the 17th. It will be in Anderson. We aren't announcing our speaker, but we had over it was either 12 or 1,300 participants there last year that came to visit with us. A lot of veterans and first responders, just local heroes, and it was a great event. And we're expecting even more people this year. It's going to be really fun. You can visit our website to get that information. And I hope to see every single county represented there in Anderson for this event. We tried to locate it in the middle so that people could travel easily, but look forward to seeing everyone at that.
Absolutely. Well, Sheri Biggs, again, thank you so much. It's been a great honor. Coming up at 5 o'clock, folks, I'll be back right here with you with Local Focal. Granger Smith and Nick Massey will be joining us here, so that'll be coming up at 5. I'm going to say goodbye. Penny, you got anything to say? No, I don't have anything to say. Okay. Well, thanks so much for tuning in this afternoon. Sheri, thanks so much for coming by here today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. That, my friends, we're going to, let's see, what are we going to do? Yes, there's Penny's picture as we close it out. Yeah, and you used to be somebody. Now you're just out of it. You're just no more. You're the... Bye-bye, everybody. This is WCRS. Take it away.